to have with me Jonny Bird from Birdland Productions. Welcome, Jonny.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
And this is a history story show, Stories of Steele. You are here to tell a great story. You have been in music how long?
Well, it dates me, but this year marked my 31st year behind a microphone.
Okay, with Birdland Productions.
Not all. Birdland Productions came about, I believe, 23 years ago.
Okay, 94 I think I read?
Yep.
Yep. So what's so exciting about this is we're going to go back and tell the story, but we're going to also prep the audience that you are about to embark on a very exciting adventure, which is, summary right now, we'll fill in the blanks. Where are you going?
We're going to Las Vegas for a new show.
Wow. For a new show.
A new show, yep. I've been pounding the pavement and going back and forth for the past, many years. And what kind of started out as a shift of our annual trip to Las Vegas into a working vacation turned out to an entirely career-changing opportunity.
Wow. And I bet it's fair to say this might have been something in your back drawer for a long time that you finally put in the front pocket.
Yes.
Okay. So have you always been with music, Jonny?
Well, no, but how I got into it, as in almost everything that's ever happened in my life, it was by happenstance or sheer dumb luck or just being in the right place or the wrong place at the right time. I started in music as a challenge.
Okay.
I got challenged by a friend of mine.
I love it.
He was my best friend, and this was our freshman year of high school. And he challenged me. He said, I'll bet that you can't get into the swing choir. We were debating in the homeroom. And he was always pestering me about something. He was pestering me about this day. He said, you'd never get in. We were in choir together. That's the first time I'd ever sung, just in choir. And there was hundreds of people in choir, so I didn't stand out in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
But he said, I bet you can't get into the swing choir. And at this point, in 1984, 1982, there had been no freshman that had ever been a member of the swing choir. So I walked up and I got a pass on the spot. I left the homeroom. I walked down to the other end of the school, talked to our choir director, and I said, I want to try out for swing choir. And he said, we don't have any tryouts. They're over. I said, I want to try out for swing choir. I'm here. He said, we don't have any openings. And I said, just give me a chance. So we sat down at the piano and I sang a song, and his eyebrow raised. He was a large man, but he was a very animated man, and I could see his eyebrow raise, and he turned and looked around over his shoulder at me. And not to make the story too long, but I got offered a spot, and I was the first freshman and the first four-year member of the swing choir at that point.
And this was in what high school? Was it Northern Minnesota?
International Falls.
Okay.
Yes.
Born in Canada. But
Yep.
But ended up in International Falls.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah, that got me singing. And my mom tells the story often about the first time that we had a choir concert where I got a solo. And I wanted to do it up. I was all dramatic, so I rented a white long-tail tuxedo to perform on the stage, and my dad and mom sat up in the balcony so nobody would see them.
Oh.
My dad brought a video camera. He set it up, and my mom and grandma, as I walked out on the stage, I could look up there and I saw them slinking down in their chairs. So by the time I started, I could just see the tops of their heads.
Wow.
And I did my song. I think I did a couple of them. One of them was Jimmy Durante's Inka Dinka Doo.
Okay.
And they started sitting back up, and it wasn't awful. And they realized that, yeah, I could actually sing.
Our son is someone we're going to be real proud of. Right.
It caught him off guard. I think it caught a lot of people off guard.
Did it catch you off guard?
Absolutely.
Okay. But once you discovered the God-given talent, where'd you go with it? Did you say, I want to be a musician?
No, absolutely not. I was going to be an attorney, and then I wanted to be a governor. I wanted to be the president of the United States.
Oh, wow.
The first paper I ever wrote, I was either 6 or 7 years old. I want to be a lawyer. That was what I wanted to do in life. I still have that paper, and I misspelled lawyer.
Wow.
I want to be a lawyer. I still have that thing, and my goal was to go to Harvard or Yale. And gosh, I couldn't have been more than like 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
But I knew what I wanted to do. I'd studied presidents. I started reading when I was really young. My parents, my mom and grandma made sure that I had books in front of me. At 3 years old, I started to, they were helping me phonetically sound out stuff. So I was reading books by 4.
Okay. So we have a smart lad here who can set goals and dream big.
I always dream big.
But
I still do.
Something happened. Did you become a lawyer?
I was in school. I did go on to study law, but I was working my way too because I didn't want to have a
big debt,
$200 million bill when I graduated. So I was working at an Arby's drive-through. Which
Arby's?
Arby's.
Okay, as in food.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my first job with a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
I got paid and I had a microphone. It just happened to be around my head. Pretty embarrassing, but I made it. I turned into Casey Kasem because I couldn't just. There was nothing that I ever did that I could just do. Working at
love it.
We're working at Kmart as a kid. I'd sweep up Kmart at night, so it's not a glamorous job. Mm-hmm. But the first thing I did is, what's the fastest it's ever been done?
Yes. Okay.
So then I started setting goals. So every day I would sweep it, or every night I'd sweep it faster than the night before. Uh-huh. I got a 45-minute job done in 15 minutes.
I have a son like that. He can't help himself.
So even getting back to the Arby's drive-through, I turned into Casey Kasem.
I love it.
and
people took note.
Well, a guy came through, and there's an asterisk to the end of this story. A guy came through that liked my little spiel, and he enjoyed it. And he got up to the window, and he was excited, and he had a business card in his hand. He said, if you ever want a job behind a microphone, give me a call, because that's the first time I've ever been able to understand every single word at a drive-through window. And he dropped the card up on the window, and he was so excited that he drove off. He forgot his food.
Oh, he had found somebody special. I love it.
So the next...
How long did it take you to call him?
Well...
I'm curious.
Can you guess? I was at his office the next day. It was in downtown Minneapolis, or just south of Minneapolis. I showed up at his office with a bag of Arby's food because I kept his receipt.
This is a fabulous story.
So I showed up there. I knocked on the door. I got into his office, and he looked up from his desk. I said, "Hey, do you remember me?" Because I was holding the Arby's food. And he said, "Yeah, I remember you. I forgot my food." And it just was busy enough where he got stuck in the lane of traffic, and because it was just it was in Roseville, Minnesota. So once he got into the traffic, it was awful because it was rush hour. And I said, "Well, here's your food. I kept your receipt." I said, "You also offered me a job." And he laughed again. He said, "I guess I did." So I got hired that day, and I did a wedding that weekend, and it was so awful. I can't believe that I ever picked up a microphone again. Oh. I was so nervous that I have my hands are getting clammy thinking about it because the microphone slipped out of my hand.
Okay.
And have you ever heard a microphone fall onto the ground
Clunk.
live? Yeah, boom. Not just once, but twice. And I had headphones and 4 double cassette players and about 400 little mini cassettes with like 2 songs on each side. So people were coming up to me. I had no experience. I had no training. I was so nervous, and it was absolutely awful. But
I've been there as a pianist playing solos. I know that feeling.
So it was so bad that I couldn't leave on that. It bugged me. It bugged me that I was terrible. So I did it again, and we kept doing it. Then I started getting jobs working in bars as just mix DJs. Sure. I had albums, and then dance DJs and.
Word was getting out.
Well, I was getting the word out. I would go to places. Okay. I would show up everywhere. I said, "Hey, we have all this stuff." So I was generating some money for him, and but they would send me out on those. But I was doing this on the side, and I accidentally saw what the company made off of a wedding, and I knew what I made off of a wedding, and there was a couple more zeros on what they made than what I made. And I put that in the back burner because I still didn't have enough experience to do anything about it. And in about 1994, I finally decided,
There's potential here, and I'm going for it.
yeah, so I decided to create my own company. By that time, I had bought enough equipment. I was building my own stuff. My dad built, my last name is Bird, so we built a bird cage.
Ah,
So I would show up at a bar, set up my bird cage. I was in the bird cage. We built speakers right into it. We built lights right into it. It was one of a kind. And I got hired everywhere at that point. And that started to take off.
okay. So you got to the Birdland production.
Yes, yep. We started Birdland Productions. I did research. It wasn't a name that's being used. There were no competing entities in this market anyway. And when I got my first checkbook with the company name on it, it was like,
I've arrived.
oh, I've arrived. I can write out a check with my company's name on it.
Right, right.
How hokey is that? But it really felt good because it was something I targeted. And by then, I'd already stepped away from college, which has eternally been a disappointment to me. Incidentally, I don't feel that I'm done
You
yet.
let yourself down there a little bit. Maybe.
Well, I'm just not done.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But
you still have time.
yeah, we took a definite side turn into the entertainment business, and
And it's been good.
so far so good.
So far, so good. And I know last month we were visiting with the Blooming Prairie girls that set up the great 4th of July. And they were all excited because you were coming and it was going to be your last show. Unfortunately, it all got blew out because of bad weather.
Yeah.
But as we were talking, they said you were on your way to Vegas. But they said you walked in on that parade years ago and became a huge hit.
Not just me. Actually, an Owatonna resident was my partner.
Yeah.
With the show, we do a dueling piano show.
Okay.
But it's not a traditional dueling piano show. It's more, even back then, I think I had that Vegas feel in me. So we did more of a Vegas style
Okay.
show, focusing on what our talents really were, which is in performance and audience participation, and our skill set at that time. Neither one of us were virtuoso piano players.
Okay.
So we had to find a way to be a dueling piano show. We did it in taking requests, but yet highlight what we do really well. So in our studio, we built all sorts of really, really great bits that we would play along with. We'd play live.
Okay.
But it gave us a competitive niche because nobody else did a show like that.
Yes.
So we were singularly the only show, that featured live instruments, that was music and comedy and interaction, and we could do a show at a church benefit one day, and we could do a show at a bar the next day, and there'd be no crossover. Completely different crowds, completely different show, completely different targeted humor. We could be as blessed and kid and grandma safe on a Friday, and adults only on a Saturday, and I really enjoyed the dichotomy of that, and to be able to do both.
To just go A to Z with your entertainment.
Because they're both me.
Yeah, and you mentioned I have this Vegas feel, so now we're going to go full circle to where we began. Here you are, ready for Vegas, and there's a new movement going on out there. I read in your bios lots of original music by Jonny Bird.
Yes.
What are you taking to Vegas? What are we going to see?
I am taking. I don't know how to present this in the most aesthetic way, but many years ago, I went to a show in Las Vegas, and was blown away by one single entertainer. Now I've seen dozens of shows in Las Vegas. I've seen all the Cirque shows. I've seen the comedians, the magic, the impersonators, the tributes, the lookalikes, the sound-alikes. All fantastic entertainers.
Yep.
They all are extremely talented, and Las Vegas brings the most talented people in the world there.
Yep.
Everything they do is fantastic. But there was singularly one entertainer there that this was our honeymoon weekend.
Okay. And you were inspired by?
I was inspired by a guy named Frankie Moreno. Now, as it turns out, some years later, fast forward, I got to know him, and
Okay.
he's remarkably talented, singularly probably the most focused person that I've ever seen.
Okay.
And I appreciate that because
You're like that.
I'm usually the only.
Yeah.
To the detriment of everybody around me, I fully acknowledge that it's hard to be around somebody like me, because I am singularly focused, and when I get my claws at something, I really want it, and I saw that in him, and I thought, my
Sure.
goodness.
Because it's in you, you could see it in him.
So yes, and he is trying to create, and this just happened very organically.
Okay.
But he wants to recreate Vegas as Vegas was in the past, not by copying or mimicking or wearing skinny ties or singing the Rat Pack stuff, but by showing so much reverence to what it was, to bring that feel back with new, live, original music. And he does that better than anybody in Vegas. Headliner of the year, many years. And I can't say that he sponsors or endorses anything that we're doing. I'm not trying to lead
No.
anybody on or name drop, but he and I have had long conversations about, he's the only one that does it. I said, well, I'm coming here to do it too.
Wow.
In
When
fact,
you leaving?
like a couple of weeks, and I said, I'm coming here, and I'm going to push you so hard. That crown you have, I'm going to grab it from you.
Wow.
And I can't say the exact words that he said, but the enthusiastic, yes, that's what I need.
Listening to you web your stories. You always start with the humble piece of Jonny, but the standards you have for yourself and the mentors you have chosen, there's not a doubt in my mind. I'm going to go to Vegas and I'm looking for the headliner, Jonny Byrd.
I hope so.
Oh, there's not a doubt in my mind.
Well, you
this
might be
is
able to
gonna
win it.
happen.
We're giving away a trip to Vegas.
I heard. Yeah, I read about that, and I'm due to go. So, what a great story! And
Thank you.
I can't thank you enough for coming to Stories of Steele. Our Minnesotan star is setting sail west. So the next time we want to find you,
They can go on our website. It's www.birdland-music.com.
Okay.
Right on the front page, there's an opportunity for you to sign up to be a member of the fan club called The Flock.
Yep.
Get it? Bird.
Yep.
Yeah, I know it's hokey. But we're giving away a trip to Vegas this year. And a trip for two. Airline covers the hotel. I will personally pick up the winners at the airport in a limousine
Fun.
with 2 front row tickets to the new show. And it is, whether I succeed or fail is up to the fates, but I am going
You're
to be
ready.
relentless.
You're
and
ready.
I wasn't before. If I would have got this opportunity even 4 or 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready. I wouldn't have been good enough. I wouldn't have had.
Yep.
And it's not that the skill wasn't there. I don't think everything that needed to be there.
All the pieces were not in the picture yet.
Yeah.
But I think all your puzzle pieces have lined up. And I can't say enough of you go get them and have fun doing it.
I'm going to do my best. That's all I can do.
Oh, this was so fun. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you very much.